try to understand the degrees of correlation in terms of perfect, positive or negative, high, positive or negative, moderate, positive or negative, or low degree of positive or negative correlation. So there are 4 types of correlation: perfect positive, perfect negative, highly positive, highly negative, moderate positive and moderate negative, and then low positive and low negative. So let's try to understand this on a timeline where the center point is 0, the extreme right is +1, extreme left is -1. So this value becomes a perfect positive correlation value. If the correlation value is +1, then that becomes a perfect positive correlation value. When the value is -1, then that becomes a perfect negative correlation value. So this is a perfect value. Now we'll divide the timeline into 0.25 towards the positive, 0.75. Similarly, towards the negative, -0.25, -0.75. So any value that is between these two numbers towards the positive side, right side of the 0, so any value between 0.75 to 1 will be showing a high degree of positive correlation, that is 0.75 to 1. Any value, similarly any value between 0.75 to -1, -0.75 to -1 will show a high degree of negative correlation, that is -0.75 to -1. So towards the extreme, the value will be high positive or high negative. Now let's talk about so we are done with the perfect and the high values. Now we'll talk about the moderate. So any value between this and this point will be your moderate value. What are these points? 0.25, 0.75. So any value between 0.25 to 0.75 towards a positive will be the moderate positive value. So the value between 0.25 to 0.75 towards the positive side will be the positive moderate value, positive moderate degree of positive correlation. Similarly, any value between -0.25 to -0.75 will be a moderate value, moderate degree. It will be showing a moderate degree of negative correlation, that is -0.25 to -0.75. So any value towards the right, that is positive, between 0.25 to 0.75 positive, will be a moderate degree of correlation, moderate positive degree of correlation. And any value in the negative value between 0.25 to 0.75 will be a moderate degree of negative correlation. So we are done with the moderate also now. Now we will do the low degree. So what is the low degree? So any value that varies from 0 to 2.5 towards the positive or negative. So 0.25 towards the positive will be the low positive. Towards the negative, 0.25 will be the low negative. So any value that is between 0 to plus 0.25, 0 to plus 0.25 will be a low degree of positive correlation. Any value between 0 to minus 0.25 will be a low degree of negative correlation. So this is how the correlation timeline is understood, that in all the values towards a positive will show a positive correlation. The perfect correlation is +1. Any value if you get as a +1, that will be a perfect positive correlation. If you get the value as a -1, that will be a perfect negative correlation. If the value is below 1 but above 0.75, towards the positive, high positive correlation. Towards the negative, any value between -1 and -0.75 will be a high degree of correlation, towards a high degree of negative correlation. Similarly, any value of correlation that you get between positive side, towards the positive side, 0.25, 0.75, then that will become a positive moderate value, that is the moderate degree of positive correlation. Similarly, the moderate degree of negative correlation. So this is the chart that we have to understand. And similarly, any value that starts from 0 to 0.25 towards the positive or negative will become the low positive correlation, low negative correlation. There is also a zero correlation, where there is no correlation shown at all, the value becomes 0. So that is the 0 degree of correlation. So you have to understand these numbers, these charts, that the values 1, 0.75 to 1, 0.25 to 0.75, and then 0 to 0.25 towards the positive and towards the negative. I hope this was easy to understand, and when you do the calculation of the correlation, you will be able to define that okay, this correlation is having a perfect positive correlation, or this correlation is having a low degree of negative correlation. So seeing the value, you can quickly adjust that this number is getting in this zone and this is the degree of correlation. I hope this was helpful.